Okay, I'm going to do multiplying decimals by whole numbers now, which is similar to long multiplication. It's just that we have decimals involved. Now, when we do multiply decimal numbers, and this is going to go for decimals by decimals, decimals by wholes, and basically any type of decimal number in multiplication. You basically just right align the digits. You're not aligning the place values. You're not annexing zeros in the factors. Not. Um, and then basically we don't worry about the decimal until the very end. Now there are mathematical principles behind it, but we're not going to go into that too much at this very moment. So we're going to multiply as normal, just as we did with the long multiplication. And then at the end, we're going to count the total number of decimal places in the factors. And we're just going to make sure that the product has the same number of decimal places. Now keep in mind, when we do this, some people do put the zeros as placeholders in the partial product, just as we did with long multiplication. And sometimes in these cases, we will have to annex zeros in the product if there aren't enough digits when moving the decimal. I'm going to show you an example of that in a moment. Make sure you're neat and organized. Place values in the partial product should be aligned neatly. You should try and be neat in all aspects of life in general. So let's go ahead and start with examples. Okay, so we're just going to multiply. This is a decimal number by a whole number. Now, I'm not worried about that decimal at this point. I'm still going to put it in my factors when I set it up. That's 7 and 45 hundredths. I'm spreading it out a little bit because that just is easier for me when I want to be neat and organized. I'm not going to squish things together. Okay, 7 and 45 hundredths times 5. Now, I'm right aligning. I am not aligning place values. I am not aligning place values. I am right aligning, also known as right justifying, if you're actually using these kinds of terms here. Align left, align right. So we're just right aligning. Now we multiply as we would normal. 5 times 5. It is 5 times 5 hundredths, but we're not getting into that at this point. So it's going to be 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. We regroup the 2 here. 5 times 4 is 20, plus the 2 that we regrouped, that's 22. Now we regroup those two, and 5 times 7 is 35, plus the 2 is 37. And we're done with the multiplication. Now what we do is we go and we count the number of place values in our factors. 7 and 45 hundredths has two numbers in place values to the right of the decimal. I'm going to write 2 decimal places here. I'm going to actually abbreviate it. It's going to be decimal, DEC, and I'm just going to put PL. That's decimal places in this case. Now 5, it is understood that the decimal is right there. So there are 0 decimal places or 0 digits to the right of the 5 as far as decimal places are concerned. Now what we do is we total. Total means add. We total the number of decimal places in our factors. So 2 plus 0 is going to be 2. So I'm going to be looking to put the decimal in the product so that my product has 2 decimal places to the right. So here, go back to my, it wouldn't be here. If I put it right here, it would be 1 decimal place. If I put it here, it will be 2 decimal places to the right. So that's going to work. I'm just going to show you, this would be 3 digits to the right of the decimal place. This would be 4 decimal places to the right in the product. I want it so that it's 2 digits to the right of the decimal in our product. And even though it's aligned here, That is not the objective when we do this. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, this is a decimal number times a whole number. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to put this 0 and 2/100ths. Now, the reason I'm showing you this one, even though it's very, very easy, is because this is the one where we have to probably, well, not probably, we have to annex zeros in our product. Now, this is really, really easy, this first part. I'm going to go ahead, set it up, and I'm going to do 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. I'm basically done, because 4 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 0 is 0. So I am basically done with the multiplication part. But now I have to worry about the decimal. So I'm going to count. I have 2 decimal places to the right of the decimal here. And how many do I have in my 4? 0. I have 0 in my 4. So I'm going to total those up. And I'm going to get, of course, 2 decimal places in my product. Total them, show my addition, and I get 2. Now, as you can see, I only have 1 digit there. I didn't multiply by the zeros. I could have and had the zeros there, but I only have 1. So I have to figure out, how am I going to have 2 decimal places here? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go, of course, I'm going to take by this, and I'm going to go 1, 2. So I'm going to put that arrow, and I'm going to put my decimal there. Now, anywhere I have a swoop here, I'm going to put a 0. And now I've annexed a 0 in my product here. So that's basically all we have to do. Uh-oh. My mouse got out of control there for a moment. Okay, so that's going to be decimal multiplication. So far, you guys are doing pretty good at it in class. So I'm not too worried. This is just good for review for our older kids and good for you to look at if you forget. So our answer is 8/100ths. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of a tougher one. This one's going to be a 2-digit. I have my little box in case I want to use it. Now I'm going to set it up. It's going to be 4.5 times 19. I am just going to not write a line. I'm just going to line. No, I am going to write a line. Who am I kidding? Set them up neatly. And now I'm going to start to multiply. I start with the 1's place value here. I'm going to put this here. I know it's not blocking the 1. The transparency for some, actually, you know what? I know how to do it. Bring to front. Nope. Order. Bring forward. Nope. All right, so apparently I'm not able to do it. But what that does is that kind of blocks the 1. That I'm not worried about the 1 at this point. So let's go ahead and take the 9 1's and multiply it by 5/10ths and 4 1's. So we do 9 times 5 is 45. I regroup that 4, put it up here, and I do 9 times 4 is 36. Don't forget to add the 4. 36 plus 4, that's going to give us 40. I don't want to squish all my numbers together, so I'm just going to make sure I have them spread out a little bit. This 0 will go here. That actually is nice and lined up. That's nice and lined up. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use red, and I'm going to put a placeholder, because I now have to multiply by my 10s here, my 10s place value. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to move my little rectangle that I have blocking the 1 up, maybe, and I'm going to move it over the 9, because I'm ignoring the 9. I've already done the 9. I'm not worried about the 9. Now I take the 1 and I multiply it here. I placed my placeholder here, that way I don't get confused. So I do 1 times 5, and then I put the 5 here. Okay, I don't have anything to carry. Now I'm going to do 1 times 4, and that gives me 4. Now these are my partial products, and I'm going to have to add them together. So I put my plus sign. I like to be organized. 5 ones and 4, not even ones. I'm going to do 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 0 is still 5. And then I do 4 plus 4, which is 8. I'm not done. I may feel like I'm done, but I'm not done. I have to find where I put my decimal. I have 1 decimal place here, 1 decimal place, and I have 0 decimal places in the second factor. Now, as you can see, I've basically ignored the decimal up until the end. Now, I want to total those. 1 plus 0 is 1. So my new, or in my product, I'm going to have 1 decimal place. Okay, if it's here, I have 0 decimal places. That's not a good place for it. If it's here, I have 1 decimal place. That's where I want it. If I had it here, that's 2. If I had it here, that's 3. I definitely only want 1 decimal place value, as the products have a total of that. So that's a good one. We're done with that one. And then, oh, actually, I'm done. I'm going to finish this up. You guys could practice on your own. I'll put something up that you want to practice. And there's lots of problems in your books or notebooks or workbooks. Enjoy.